Hi, I'm Sean. I make things, I break things, sometimes on purpose, and sometimes a cool guitar comes out. So we're just about ready to begin trying to finish these parts. First question is, what kind of media are we going to use? Well, we're going to start with what's on hand and cheap, really available from the local box store. We've got just good old-fashioned rocks. Marble chips, they call it. Fairly uneven in size. I'm sure it's going to be way too aggressive, but I had the bag of stuff, so we're going to try it. A little bit rounder and softer and smaller. They call it river pebbles. Stepping over, we get to pea gravel. Again, smaller, rounder, probably less aggressive on the polish. These may or may not work, but they're either side of $5 a bag. And that's more than enough to handle what I'm trying to do here. So we're just going to give it a shot and see if that happens to work out. Because the next step up, some of the cheaper stuff you're going to find that's meant for the purpose. This is what Harbor Freight stocks in the way of small, kind of pointed media that should possibly get in there and get some of those small features and small burrs and stuff. Get all that crud out of there for us. We're going to give that a try. But again, $5 a bag. That's $50 for those 2 bottles. And we're all set up in the lower level of my shop. We're going to stay indoors just to control the light and the wind. This is what we've got to use. Get some light on in here. Okay. The mixer is a little beat up. It's not that old, but like the other tools I mentioned, it was responsible for building a lot of this. All the fill that went into those blocks was mixed up right in here, along with some of the concrete for the footers and other things. So the first question is going to be, do I like it the way it's configured? Are these paddles possibly too much? The way it stands off here, is that just going to be no good? Some people take those out and put in just small bits of angle iron to keep things agitated. I'm going to try it the way it is, largely because getting it out is going to include getting all that concrete out of there. That may not be a good time. So we're just going to try it, see how it goes. Of course, this is not entirely original. Other people have done this and shared their results, but most of them are doing steel parts that are old and rusty or just come out of a hot process. One fellow here says he actually just used gravel out of the driveway from front of the house. Another person says it's actually using drywall screws to strip off some rusty old parts. We're doing something a little different. Also be adding a small amount of water and detergent to each batch. Keeps the small scale friction down. Goes for more polishing and scratching. And it's just what I was taught to do a long time ago. So we have our samples ready. Here they are, ready to go. Only about 5 minutes, which probably isn't enough. I want to put some hearing protection in. Water in here. Okay. Down there. Well, I know what to do. Those are quick rinse. So, what we're seeing, kind of as I expected, the surface is getting marred up by the rocks. It's working down burrs but not getting inside. Yeah, it's all just scratched up. So I'm gonna let that go a little bit longer just to be fair, but that's about what I expected. Maybe a little heavy with the detergent. Need that part. So there we are, 10 minutes with the coarse rocks, and we have a nice beat up surface, but that's not what we're looking for. We wanted this stuff to get polished away, which it is making progress on that, but we're not getting inside hardly. Actually, there is some progress made in there. But anyway, that surface is just not going to cut it. That's super rough. Didn't take away the marks we wanted, left a bunch of new marks. So, I want the focus to cooperate. There we are. Let's try the next thing. Giving the mixer a good rinse out. Now we're going to try the next thing. They're calling river pebbles. I should note there's a pretty good amount of sand in here. That's going to affect our polishing a bit. Let's this time. And our next specimens, set B. About 10 minutes of that. Let's see what we got. Okay. Missing a part. I'm going to call that a step in the right direction. The surface is abraded again. Made some progress on the burrs that were sticking up. Probably got inside a little better. Yeah, it feels better. Now that was still only 10 minutes. It's not expected that that amount of time is enough to finish one of these. But I didn't think that material was going to be the best. So, we're going to step to the next thing, the pea gravel, and maybe probably let that run a little longer, because I'm starting to expect good things now. On to the pea gravel. Like we said, smaller, rounder. There is some sand in this again, but it doesn't feel as gritty as the previous batch. So, let's give it a go. So there we are. After about 30 minutes, we have a very fine textured surface, pretty consistent all around. Heavier marks didn't come out. Burrs didn't perfectly clean up. Inside's more than passable for the inside. Outside feels good. So that's never going to give us a shiny polish. But I suspect it has a lot to do with the sand that was in there. I could probably acquire some cleaner media, but then I'd be having to order something meant for the purpose. So let's just try something that's actually meant for the purpose. So this is what our media looks like. It's a bunch of little bitty triangle shapes. One four-sided face, four three-sided faces, and a point. I guess that point's supposed to get up into things and make stuff happen. Pretty good container, so I'm going to keep them. Part set D. It's going to be about 10 till. So, there we are. We've got, they're a bit wet, but let's get the water off. there they are. We've got a consistent kind of a matte finish. Now there's a lot of random scratches in here. I suspect that's because of the paddles I left in there and the big bulk motions they were doing, dropping down on top of each other, hitting the steel. I might try taking those out and seeing what happens. The material wasn't terribly aggressive. Didn't really get the burrs down very much. I think we're going to want something a little more aggressive, and this may have to be a two-step process. I'm going to try pulling those paddles out and see what happens. So that was as much fun as I thought it would be. But with a little percussive maintenance, we got the old paddles out. I've replaced a couple of the bolts, the ones that actually get wet so stuff doesn't all fall out of there. And I've put one little piece of angle iron in there just to make some gentle agitation. Keep things moving, but not falling and hitting and scratching as they were before. I hope this will do a little better. We're going to let it go for another little while. Okay, there we go. After another almost an hour, running with just a small paddle in the mixer, we've got a pretty consistent surface. It's not high gloss, but it's made progress on the burrs. It's a consistent surface. Boy, that might be good enough to go with hand finishing after. But we're not done yet. I want to see if I can get this to be really polished and ready to go, even if it has to be a two-step process. I brought everything inside to get consistent light and compare head to head. We had our gravel sample, the river rock sample, pea gravel sample, and the actual polishing media. We can compare that to the kind of material we started from. You can see it actually had a pretty good shine to it, but what we're trying to get rid of is a lot of these factory handling and shipping marks. And then, of course, what we put into manufacturing, all the burrs and sharp edges and such. And for comparison, we have the end product here, the gold. That, of course, was a exquisitely hand-polished piece right there. Let's get these all together tight and really go eye to eye on them. So here we are. We get progressively nicer, but now remember down here, these first two pair only had about 10 minutes in the medium. We stopped because it was just doing a number on the surface. 30 minutes with the river stone, or the pea gravel, and that might have been doing something pretty good eventually. But jumping up to the actual polishing media, we get a more consistent surface. Don't get so much of the factory marks taken up, but these are deep enough to feel. Those are pretty bad. At some point, there's going to be some hand finishing required. I'm actually, I should say, not too worried about the raised edge on all these letters. I know the machining process on that was kind of a quick hack, and I know it can be done better. You can see that right here for sure. So we'll get there. So based on those results, I've got some new material coming. We're going to try some different starting steps. We're going to look at what this would be in a two-step process. The wisdom of the internet says for this kind of material you really can't expect to do it all in one go. If you want to deburr, if you want a finished polish, that's probably going to be 2 steps. So we'll start trying some other things and explore that in the next video. Do all the usuals, like, subscribe, and so on to make sure you see what happens. We'll see you then.